Section 310 just wants to introduce and remind you that there are more math functions available. Remember that you have to use the #include C math header file, and that it inputs double arguments and then it returns doubles. So whenever you're using math functions, know that the data type you're working with is doubles. We also want to introduce them, or they introduce you to random numbers. And so this will be the sample program that I run in a few minutes, but rand returns a random number between 0 and the largest integer the computer will hold. So it generates a random number for us. It will yield the same sequence of numbers every time the program is run. So that could be a problem because it's not really truly random. We call it being pseudo-random. So what you need to do when you work with random numbers is you need to actually do what's called seeding a random number generator, and we often use an unsigned integer to do that, and it should be called once in a program. So basically what that does is the computer was on purpose created so that the same sequence of numbers would be generated when rand was used, and that's for debugging purposes. But then we understand there's this need to actually randomize things, and so we pick a value that we can seed a random number generator with, so then when I get my program debugged and it's ready to run, then I can seed it with a random number of values. Okay? And so when you do that, you're going to need to use the #include C time library, because we are going to use the clock value from the computer to seed the random number generator. And so that's what this is. Unsigned is a data type. It's an unsigned data type. Seed is going to be the time sub 0, which is basically it captures the time of the clock at the current value, I believe, or current time. Like whenever every computer is built, it has an internal clock that is started, and that internal clock keeps running forever. And so that's the value that we're trying to pull from. And then if we want to generate 6 random numbers, there's some code there to do that, but that's the sample program, so let's take a look at that. We are going to just run several sample programs from our source code library that deals with rand. This first one here is just showing you what the rand function does. Please notice it's #include iostream, #include cstdlib. That's the file that we need to use for the rand, so you're going to need to have that included. And then it generates 3 random numbers from 0 to the maximum value that the computer can hold. This sample code is going to show how we can let the user input a random number, and then we use that, just any number, and then we use that number to seed the random number generator. So it's waiting for me to get to input a number. So I input a value, I press enter, and I get the following numbers. Now I'm going to copy those numbers. I'm going to Control C, and I'm going to open up a notepad document, and we're going to paste those numbers in, because I want to see if I execute this again and I input some other number besides 45, let's say 23, were those numbers different? If I copy that, go over to my notepad and paste it in, yes, they are. So I'm seeding the random number generator manually, and it's producing different output. There is a danger in doing that, and if you're interested, you can ask me about the how the German operators during World War II kind of shot themselves in the foot, so to speak, because they were seeding their own random number generators, and it did not actually come out to be random. So that's a story I could tell you. We want the computer to generate those random numbers, and so let's go over and grab our sample code for the next one. This example uses the clock value to seed a random number, and so we have to #include the C time, and we create a variable of unsigned seed. We assign seed the time function to get a seed value, and then we execute the program and it creates some numbers. So again, I'm going to copy this. Whoops, I didn't mean to do that. We're going to copy those, and if we execute it quickly enough, we could see, are those actually different numbers that are being generated every time? And yes, they are. And so this is generating different random numbers using that clock value.